everybody, I hope you're having a great Monday so far. I wanted to stop in and check with you and see how you're doing this week and offer you a new post for divine encouragement. We've had a lot of discouraging and horrific news going on this week. We had a horrible disaster in many places over the world. We've had earthquakes, we've had hurricanes, mudslides, and fires. And in the midst of all of that, now we've just recently had another horrific shooting, which was a senseless tragedy. So in the middle of all of these bleak times, what we need most is grace. We need to pull together as a people who have a heart, who have kindness, and we need to know how to show one another peace and grace and comfort in a time that's very stressful and can cause people to react with anxiety, which prompts more acts of unkindness around us, and that's the last thing that we need. So the more that we can sow seeds of grace into the community around us, the more we can offset the horrors of the world that's just raging around us right now. So I want to talk to you about some things that I included in a post about a year and a half ago about how to cultivate grace, how to show it in your life, how to demonstrate it to those around you. There are 4 very important elements to showing grace. One would be humility. We don't want to respond to these tragedies and talk about people as if they're beneath us, as if they're worse than us, as if they're less deserving than we are. We don't want to cast judgments on others. And we also don't want to defeat ourselves or deride ourselves in that process. Humility is neither shame nor is it arrogance. It actually is simply knowing where you stand positionally in relationship to God. I am not God, but I belong to God. It is a confidence based on who we are in relationship to our Redeemer. So humility means that you are confident without being arrogant and without being self-abasing. So that's kind of that poise that you can have with humility. It doesn't cast shame on yourself, nor does it cast shame on other people. And this is a time when we need to acknowledge that our assets are a gift. The things that we can offer are important to one another. So find out what that is. What do you offer others most? And make sure that you're confident and you are willing to offer those things to other people around you, because your gifts are important. God gave you those gifts for a reason. Make sure that you have the Christ confidence to be able to offer them. And we need to protect other people from toxic patterns through the use of our gifts, by loving them, by supporting them, by directing them and giving them good counsel. But we do it with kindness. And that is the second very important thing when it comes to grace. The second key element is kindness. Nobility, true nobility, shows compassion and generosity to those who need it and often to those who do not seem to deserve it. People who are afraid, people who are wounded, people who are stressed, are not always on their best behavior, and we need to respond to them not the same way that they're reacting toward us, but with greater grace and compassion than they are demonstrating themselves. So we need to heap extra grace on people around us in this time when we are seeing so much horror, so much lack, so much need that it's almost overwhelming. That's exactly when we need to draw upon the resources that we have in Christ, not our own resources or we'll get poured out, but show people kindness and compassion when they don't deserve it. And we need to set healthy patterns of boundaries, however. You don't want to enable people to continue to do things that are self-destructive by giving them things that they're not able to handle. So make sure that you're watching your boundaries when you're showing kindness, but you can do that in love. You can set boundaries in love. Firmly say, I love you too much to let you continue to go and stay out until 2 o'clock in the morning. I love you too much to bend on this rule. I love you too much to allow you to keep speaking to me that way, because then you're going to keep doing it to everyone. And I know you're better than that. And you can show people kindness and compassion with humility and grace. And the next third element in grace is serenity. And that means that you're not showing humility and demonstrating the ways to set boundaries with anger and ferocity, but with peace. And we have a peace that passes understanding as Christians that comes from God. In this crazy world, the easiest thing to do would be to get crazy along with it. It would be to get stressed out, strung out, high strung. It would be easy to fall into the same patterns that the other people in the world who don't have Christ are following. In fact, a lot of Christians do get pulled into those same behavior patterns. And we need to show them how to do better, how to do that, and do it with humility and do it with peace. The more peaceful you are in responding to people who are upset, who are anxious, the less likely they are to get more upset. If you respond to people who are stressed and in crisis with a very high level of tension and yelling and barking at them, they're not going to respond well to that. You need to have a peaceful, calm attitude when you're dealing with people who are grieving, people who are stressed, people who are angry, who want something to blame or someone to blame or an institution to blame. And that's how people respond when they feel helpless. Understanding that and responding in peace and beginning with, hey, I understand why you must feel that way. I can appreciate that you must be very upset. Respond to their feelings. Respond to people in compassion and with serenity, not yelling or barking or slapping them like we see sometimes in the movies to get them to come to their senses. That really doesn't work so well in real life. So let's choose peace. You have to do that intentionally. It's not going to come naturally. And you have to choose to ask God for peace because we don't get it from our human nature. Our human nature is reactive and usually overreactive. We tend to awfulize our circumstances and blow everything out of proportion. So if we ask God to kind of center us and say, look, what is really the deal here? How can I stay at peace when the world seems to be going crazy around me? And strive for diplomacy. How can you come up with a peaceful solution without being nasty? Daily stress management for yourself is very important in order to maintain your own peace, and then you can help other people with their peace. So if you're not managing your own stress, you're not going to be able to help your children or your husband or your neighbors or your best friends to deal with theirs. So make sure that you're taking the log out of your eye first, so to speak, and you're managing your stress level and taking time to pray and taking time for meditation and taking time to ask God to help you have peace. Because you can't pour out the Kool-Aid if the Kool-Aid pitcher is empty. So maintain your own serenity and share it with other people. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can do it in a couple of minutes. You can do some deep breathing in a few seconds. You can pray in a few seconds in your head. You can do it on the way on the way home from work. So making sure that you do those life-giving activities to rejuvenate your mind makes it so that you can bless other people with grace as well. And then gratitude. This is a very important piece of being able to show grace. We have to be grateful for the grace that's shown to us, or we don't have it to give. If we don't receive it and thank God for how much grace He's given us, we're not going to give it out. So a thankful heart doesn't happen on accident either. We have to choose to acknowledge all the things that we have to be thankful for. And if things aren't perfect in your life, which, is there anybody there that has everything perfect? I don't know of anybody that has everything that's going on that's perfect. They might look like it on Facebook and on Pinterest, but nobody has everything exactly the way that they want it. But you can easily find the things that you should be thankful for to God, the things that you can start with to thank God that you do have. If you just do this one simple tool, say to yourself, if I lost everything except those things that I thanked God for, what would I be sure to thank Him for? If I lost everything, and I mean your fingers, your toes, your ability to breathe, your ability to see and hear and taste and touch, your family, what are the things that you normally take for granted that you would miss if they were gone? And start listing those things. That can be a way to start with your gratitude journal. If you were thankful for everything that you wanted to keep, you would make sure that you listed a lot more than you could easily come up with off the top of your head if you're having a bad day. So try to do that once in a while and come up with at least 5 things each time, and keep a journal of all the things that you have to be thankful for. If you practice gratitude regularly, you will receive grace. It's a very important component in receiving grace. And again, you can't give away what you don't have. So make sure that you are grateful. Now, gratefulness and gratitude serve another purpose that you might not realize. It also serves as a perfect antidote for fear. You can't get sucked into fear if you're busy thanking God. If you're thanking God for things, it just dispels fear, and it changes the attitudes of our spirits when we're thankful. It invites the Spirit into our hearts deeper. It invites us into closer communion with God when we are thankful. Thankfulness shapes us into our best version of ourselves, and it empowers us to be able to effectively pour out into other people. So, any other ideas about grace that you want to share, come and visit me on my blog at divineencouragement.com, and I'd love to have some conversations with you in the comments about how to share grace with others, how to love people who are unlovable, how to express grace, because your grace showing in your community to the people right around you will have a ripple effect. If you smile on somebody, if you just take the time to say, I'm thinking of you, I care about you, that will change how that person impacts the next person they meet. And it will ripple out, and you and I can change the climate of our little spaces. And eventually that has a bigger and bigger and bigger effect as it spreads. So please join with me in trying to share grace and kindness and peace with the world around you, one person at a time. And I hope that you have a grace-filled week, and that you're able to clutch on to your grace and share it with other people. I look forward to hearing your comments, and I'll be praying for you. If you have any prayer requests, list them on my blog or here in the comments, and I'll be glad to pray for you. You have a blessed and wonderful week. Bye-bye.